Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. has assumed duty as officer in charge of the Philippine National Police following the sudden relief of General Nicolas Torre III.
A House leader warns that liability over alleged ghost flood control projects could reach the DPWH Central Office.
Senate President Chiza Escudero orders contractors linked to questionable projects to attend the Senate Blue Ribbon hearing or face arrest.
5 journalists working for major international outlets were killed in an Israeli double strike on Gaza's Nasser Hospital.
Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste hopes that the DPWH district engineer he filed charges against for allegedly attempting to bribe him will serve as a state witness in the investigation of irregular flood control projects. Here is the report.
Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste has formally filed a complaint against DPWH District Engineer Abelardo Calalo, who allegedly tried to bribe him. Leviste charged Calalo with direct bribery, corruption of public officials, violation of the anti-graft law, and breach of the Code of Conduct for public officials. The district engineer was arrested after allegedly offering the lawmaker over 3 million pesos to halt the investigation into DPWH projects in their district.
Nakita po ng PNP sa isang supot na may kasamang resibo ng 3 mga proyekto na nakakahalaga ng 104 million pesos, 3% of which is 3.1M.
In an interview with the Storycon, Leviste said he hopes Calalo could serve as a state witness to shed light on questionable practices within DPWH and expose irregularities beyond his district. However, he noted that Calalo has yet to declare any intention to cooperate as state witness.
I hope the DE can become a state witness because it's not obviously going to solve the problems of the DPWH to pick on one employee.
The congressman also revealed that certain contractors, included in the list of President Bongbong Marcos with the most flood control projects, tried to bribe him as well. Among them, he said, was Alpha and Omega General Contractor and Development Corporation. Sara Diskaya, who ran against Pasig Mayor Vico Soto in the 2025 elections, was the president of Alpha and Omega.
One of the phases of the Binambang River project has one of the top contractors on PBBM's list,
Which one was it, Kong?
Alpha Omega.
Meanwhile, in a separate interview with The Big Story, Leviste said that the distribution of money by the DPWH officials in his district has seemingly become a standard practice.
The giving of SOP for DPWH projects is supposedly something that happens all the time, but not something that I would tolerate in my own district, and hopefully can be less common if the public is more outraged by incidents like this.
Alright. So yung operation nila may resibo pang
Yes.
ano.
Hindi ko maintindihan.
Oo.
Actually, hindi ko makomprehend.
Oh, bakit? May resibo siya. Pero well, we were talking about this yesterday pa lang.
Batangas 1st District.
Nakikita natin na this district engineer might be just a bagman of this operation.
Oo, kaya
And
nga-
definitely, there are a lot of big fish to fry, sabi nga nila.
That's right.
Diba? Oo.
That's why sabi ni Congressman Leviste na sana he turn state witness because sayang lang tong paghuli if siya lang ang makukulong or kung makakasuhan. This guy for sure, you said bagman siya, di ba? Can point to the bigger fish. And that's what we need, the bigger fish.
Yeah.
Oo.
Kasi parang yung pagtatangka nga dito kay Representative Leviste, parang ano nga din, no? Parang yung timing din, alam naman nila na mainit.
Yes.
Tapos tinuloy pa rin nila itong ano,
Hindi man lang nag-lie low, hindi man lang nahiya.
Itong bribery nila na parang, di ba, parang meron pa daw iba silang mga, not just flood control projects, but other infrastructure projects
Yes.
na pwede siya bigyan ng komisyon itong congressman na ito.
Ayun. Pero iniisip ko rin yung sinasabi mo na parang ba't hindi kayo nag-lie low itong si engineer. Pero naisip ko kasi may ongoing project sila. So they need to protect that project eh. Oo, kasi malaking pera ang nagbigayan dyan eh. At syempre, gusto mo mag-iwas na malitis ka, iniimbestigahan ka ni Kong eh. O Kong, huwag ka na mag-imbestiga. Suportahan ko yung ano mo, advokasya mo, di ba? Mga style na ganun.
Ay, nagkamali sila.
Nagkamali sila.
Ng binribe na congressman.
No, number one, bilyonaryo na to, di ba? Number two,
Yeah, we all know naman, no? Just a little context lang for Congressman
anak ni Senator Lauren Legarde
yeah.
and Levistet. Oo.
Meron siyang, nakilala siya dun sa startup niya, yung sa solar, which
Yes,
is
that's right.
millions and billions of pesos. And then he also owns 10% of stocks in ABS-CBN.
Oo.
No? And yun nga, tapos ngayon, first time niya na maging congressman dito sa distrito niya ito. At tinalo nga niya si Eric Buhain, dating congressman dyan sa area niyan eh. Si
Eric Buhain, yung swimmer. Ah, okay.
So ngayon, may doon sa kanyang mga interview, mga sinasabi siyang may sikat na maaaring kasabwat, hindi pa lang niya na napapangalan.
Sikat na.
Maaaring kasabwat na
Binanggit ni
government
BBM daw.
officials,
May
na
sikat daw na
government
congressman,
officials,
isa pa
sabi
daw
niya,
eh.
oo, na,
Oo.
sinabi ni Congressman Leviste, but hindi pa natin alam kung sino yon.
Yeah.
So, I think we will have a lot of things to uncover.
Dami
diba?
pa yan.
As this is a developing story,
Oo.
dahil nga malaki-laking pera ang pinag-uusapan dito, no? Billions of pesos, years of collusion between the contractors, key government officials, di ba, yung mga DPWH niya. So we will see kung ano pa yung mangyayari dito. That's why may mga calls din kay Secretary Bono na mag-leave na lang muna kung ayaw niya mag-resign.
Kasi it could reach the central office. Lahat
Yeah,
ng
oo.
lahat ng mga corruption daw, baka may link sa central office.
Exactly.
So whether directly involved si secretary or not, sabi nila, it's command responsibility daw.
So, yun nga.
Let's
Is
see,
this
let's
really
see.
an era of transparency? Diba?
Wow,
This is actually 3 weeks since President Bongbong Marcos, diba, launched or publicized yung kanyang mga findings
Ay,
dito sa
nako.
mga flood control
Bakit
projects
kaya
na to.
naisipan nyo lahat magsalita ngayon dahil nagbabaha na?
Oo.
Kita
Tapos
na yung
actually,
effects of your corruption.
Oo,
di
so
ba?
nakikita natin ngayon yung turuan. On the side of the LGU, sinasabi nila lagi, wala kaming alam dito sa proyekto ng national government. Nabanggit din ni President Bongbong Marcos na dapat niya, it's high time na ibalik na yung gano'n na coordination between the government, the local
Yeah.
government at saka DPWH.
That's
Because it is the local government naman talagang nakakaalam kung ano yung kailangan ng mga distrito nila, ng lugar nila, kung saan merong kailangan na mas maraming pumping station, kung saan kailangan gawin yung mga flood control projects, 'di ba? Hindi naman yung national government.
Yeah.
All right, in other news, or no, it's still the same, no? Senate President Jesus Codero warned that he is prepared to order the arrest of contractors who continue to ignore the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's inquiry into alleged irregularities in government flood control projects. At least 10 of the country's largest contractors were summoned after skipping the first hearing. The Senate President stressed the importance of investigating alleged anomalies, including funded projects that were never implemented. Meanwhile, Senator Raffy Tulfo said misconduct in the district engineering offices has become widespread.
Kinakailangan bigyang linaw nila itong bagay na ito at kung hindi nga nila susundin ang sabina ng Senado, ang susunod na doon ay arrest warrant na hindi ako mag-aatubiling pirmahan kung hindi sila pupunta at magpapakita dito sa patawag ng Senado.
Dapat makasuhan siya dahil nag-iimbestiga, inimbestiga sila sa mga kalokohan and then manunood sila. Yan naman talagang gawain ng mga karamihan sa mga lolo, karamihan sa mga kota para makaiwas sila doon sa kaso at kahiyan, nagpapag sila.
One lawmaker reveals that some questionable flood control projects are part of the Executive Department's own budget proposal. Here's the report.
On August 13, Malacanang submitted to Congress the proposed 2025 National Expenditure Program, the government's budget blueprint for the year laying out projects of various agencies. For the Public Works Department, officials says these projects had already been reviewed and vetted by their experts, meaning the spending items were legitimate and justified. But when President Bongbong Marcos revealed alleged ghost flood control projects, the House Infrastructure Committee discovered that some of these questionable projects actually came from the executive's own proposals.
Pagka sinabi ho natin NEP-originated projects, ito po ay pinopose po mismo ng DPWH. Ito po yung sinasabi ni Secretary Bonoan na fully vetted ng feasibility studies At ito po yung actually sinusuportahan po niyang tipo ng mga proyekto po. Kahit po mga NEP-originated projects, supposedly fully vetted, ay nasa subject pa rin po to ghost projects, substandard projects ng ilan pong mga kontratista.
Committee co-chair Terry Ridon even presented a line item from the NEP, a 60 million peso reinforced concrete river wall in Baliwag, Bulacan, one of the very projects inspected by the President. Documents show the project was assigned to the Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office, with SYMS Construction Trading as a contractor awarded a 55.7 million peso contract. Redon stressed that accountability should not stop at district or regional offices as this could reach all the way up to the DPWH secretary.
We will see no, kung ano ho yung level ng kanya pong responsibility. Pero again, kung ina-admit niya halimbawa na meron pong failure to check at the level of the central office or at the level of the regional director, there is ultimate responsibility on the secretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways.
DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan, however, countered that while he holds command responsibility, authority has long been delegated to district and regional offices.
Well, I think the command responsibility, of course, I am on top of the entire agency, but there are authorities that has been delegated to the district offices and the regional offices. So we'll look into that. Well, they'll have to establish my liability kung ano pong nangyayari po doon.
Bonoan also insisted he did not benefit from any of the infrastructure projects.
Absolutely on my part. No. I don't even have to tolerate this. I don't tolerate this kind of attitude.
The DPWH chief has since ordered the preventive suspension of several district engineers linked to the anomalies.
Now, to discuss this further, we have House Infrastructure Committee Co-Chair, Congressman Terry Ridon, joining us via phone. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Thanks again for joining us. Kong, can you hear us? Kong, nakamute ata po kayo. Ayan. There you go. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alright, so you found some questionable items nga po dito sa National Expenditure Program po ng PBBM administration noong 2025. Pero ano po bang ibig sabihin nito about the budget vetting process? Ano po ba yung implication nito na nanggaling ito sa NEP, not the congressional insertion?
Well, una sa lahat, kadalasan ho ng mga intriga hong sinasabi ng iba't ibang quarters, no? Kasama ho siya Mayor Magalong. Sabi nila, alam niyo yung kitaan dyan, yung mga pera nakukuha ng mga tao mula sa mga proyekto, sa mga congressional insertions po yan nakukuha. Ang tanong natin sa kanila ngayon, paano ho ngayon? Yung ghost projects na binabanggit po ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas ay nasa NEP po nang gagaling. DPWH proposed program or project po ito. So ibig sabihin, hindi ho ganun kadali na magtuturo ng senador o kongresista na sangkot po sa mga ghost projects po dito. Pero hindi rin ho natin inaaalis para lang malinaw na even if this is a NEP originated project, pwede rin po na may kasabwat na kongresista o senador pa rin.
Pero sa executive side, Congressman, no, how do we now look at the chain of responsibility? Nasa district level ba nagsisimula? Nasa regional, central office?
Yung po nga direct responsibility para dito po sa ghost project po na ito, nandun sa district engineer kasi siya po yung hepe ng particular na opisina, sila yung nag-implement Pero meron pong oversight kasi yung region sa mga proyekto pong ito. So ibig sabihin, kung napalampas po ng rehiyon, hindi nila napansin yan, hindi sila nagpadala ng tao para i-check ko yan dahil kulang sila ng tao. Meron hong responsibility po yung regional director. Kung yung central office, hindi rin nila na-check, no? Parang it had gone under their noses. Meron ho talagang kailangan accountability. Hindi natin sasabi na criminal liability yan. Pero it's a leadership question. It's a leadership concern. Na dapat hindi naman talaga ito. Kumbaga, what are the checks that the central office had actually initiated to basically put a stop to all of these things?
Kaya, Congressman, madami nagsasabi ngayon na even though, the Secretary Bonoan may not be directly involved in all these anomalies, but the mere fact na laganap ito sa mga district offices means may problema na sa leadership. We also had the Congressman Leviste talking about confirmed briberies from the district engineer. So may nangyayari talaga.
Hindi, tama po yun. So, talaga po nga, well, we leave it to the president, like what I stated yesterday. Kung talagang he maintains to have trust and confidence in Secretary Bonoan, then he will remain in office. No? Pero if that has weakened or it has crumbled, edi, I think Secretary Bonoan has no other choice but to leave. No? Pero for as long as it is there, it is present, syempre he will continue to lead po the agency.
Okay.
That's right.
Kung yun na-mention niyo po sa mga interviews niyo na itong mga binisita ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa mga maanumalyang flood control projects ay kasama nga po doon nagsimula sa NEP, no? Ito po bang lahat ng 9,000 na binabanggit natin, maaari nating masabi na doon talaga nanggaling sa NEP, not a congressional insertion? Nasaan na po ba kayo pagdating doon po sa mga research na ginagawa po ninyo before you start the investigation by Infracom?
Hindi, para lang mahumalinaw, yung pong 5,500 flood control projects,
Aha.
mixture po yan ng congressional initiative insertions at mga NEP. Pero, syempre, ang gusto ho natin para orderly ho yung proseso, silipin ho muna natin yung mga napuntahon na po ng Pangulo eh. Kasi, syempre, at least meron na siyang initial information dyan. So,
That's right.
talagang masiyasat ho natin yung mga particular na, po
Okay.
na detalye ng po mga proyekto. Anyway, 6 lang naman ho yun eh. So, madali lang hong silipin din. In fact, doon po sa 6 na yun, marami na hong pwedeng mahalukay at mabago. Di ba? Meron nung kwento dyan ng substandard, may kwento ho dyan ng ghosts, no? So, yung pong mga circumstances regarding relating to these particular types of projects, marami na ho tayo. I think it would require several hearings already. Kasi pag-usapan na dyan, yung mga paano nakakuha ng proyekto yung mga maliliit na kumpanya, 250,000 capital, pero billions in pesos of projects, no? How did that happen? Halimbawa, okay, mga big contractors na sinasabi. In fact, nagpangalan ata si Congressman Leviste kahapon, no, top contractor pala yung kanyang sinususpect, no? Na magbabribe, no? So gusto nating malaman, for example, paano ba yun lumaki? Kasi ang totoo naman ho, when I was in Congress, hindi natin narinig yung kumpanya na yun eh. And that was a long time ago, mga 2013 pa ako nasa Congress the first time. Yung pong ilan sa mga kumpanya doon, parang ngayon lang sila talaga lumaki ng gusto. Naging quadruple A contract. So we'd like to be able to know also in the hearing, paano ho lumaki ng ganito kalalaki in a massive scale. Ito pong mga kontratistang ito.
Alright. Okay. So, may sinasabi rin po kasi yung mga LGUs, nung simula po pumutok itong issue na to, narinig po natin sa mga balita, sinasabi ng governor, ng mga mayor, hindi namin alam yan, walang coordination, wala kaming alam dyan sa proyekto na yan. And do you also see, along with your investigation sa Infracom, na in aid of legislation, na makagawa ng batas or ma-enact yung maibalik na magkaroon ng LGU participation pagdating sa national project?
Pwede hong mangyayari. Actually, di man ho, siguro kailangan ng legislation for that.
Yeah.
Mas executive order. Kasi for example, in DPWH, ang alam ko, hindi sila required to coordinate or to have like a consent from LGU pagka mga roads and bridges yung pinag-usapan. Pero we're talking about flood control. Hindi naman
Right.
kasama ata sa exemptions yun. So, I think dapat talaga nakikipag-coordinate po yung national agencies, no? So, local government unit. But to be very clear, we also want to get an actual balance, no? Kasi baka if we like put so much new requirements in, baka naman ho bumagal
Bureaucracy
naman
na
yung proseso
naman,
ng
no?
pagtatayo ng infrastruktura. Magiging
That's right.
bureaucratic delay naman po yung magiging problema ho natin. So, we don't want that to happen as well. So, I'm all for a closer coordination, consultation with the LGUs, no? Pero kung halimbawa, should we make it a policy na they have to consent for any national infrastructure
Yes.
project to be implemented? Baka parang medyo kailangan ho natin pag-isipan nyo kasi that is basically granting new powers to
That's
local
right.
government units.
Baka another layer of possible corruption. Pero Congressman, the other time we were talking, you were also saying that there was an idea that's floating around na baka perang post-project audit by a third party. Is this something most of you are thinking about na after the project may actual third party na hindi part of government that will audit na yung mga projects na ginawa?
Tama po yan. Actually, hindi lang after the project, no?
During
the project.
Okay.
Kasi nagpa-progress bill po yung mga, nagpa-progress bill naman po yung mga contractors and kailangan hong may private sector participation doon. Ibig sabihin, yung nag-inspect, dapat engineering design firm, halimbawa, ay babayaran sila ng fees nila. Particularly, para gawin lang huyo, para i-check kung tama ba yung pagkakalatag ng bakal, yung kapal ng bakal, tama ba yung haba ng bakal. Sa totoo lang, sobrang daming detalye. In the inspection pa lang ho, na pagka ginawa ho yung honest to goodness na trabaho po ng inspektor, marami ho sa mga problema na nakita natin na substandard facilities,
Yes.
hindi ho yung mangyayari.
That's correct.
Alright, so na-mention nyo nga po, maaring both NEP-originated and legislative projects are vulnerable nga dito sa mga irregularities na to. Now, the question here, how widespread do you believe this problem across flood control projects?
Hindi, ang totoo, wala ho tayong distinction sa totoo lang. Sinasabi natin ngayon, pwede talagang may corruption within NEP projects and also within insertion projects. No? Mas madali lang ho kasi I guess magturo na meron hong some liability for ghost projects at substandard projects yung mga congressional insertions, initiatives kasi talagang pinoposto ng senador yun o pinoposto talaga ng congressman yun. It's not as easy to make that finger pointing pagka NEP originated kasi it is entirely proposed by the executive, no? So, mas yun lang naman ho yung very important distinction doon. Pero irrespective of which, kailangan ho talaga dapat i-implement ho ng tama. Dapat walang ghost, walang substandard na projects, whether NEP man yan or a congressional insertion man ito.
Pagdating po dito sa usapin ng bribery, itong district engineer na nakakulong ngayon, yung investigation po ba sa Infracom is planning to invite him over for cross-examination?
I think so. I think in a third hearing siguro or the next hearing, pwede na ho maisali yan kasi syempre germane naman ho talaga nangyari doon po sa conduct po ng Infracom kasi nga yan yung corruption allegations na pinag-usapan natin. Kumbaga live na po and specific instance na po ito ng pagbabribe po ng district engineer sa isang kongresista. And syempre gusto nating malaman from the district engineer, are you doing it on your own? Or are you representing an actual contractor? And that is the allegation of Congressman Leviste, di ba? So we will find out in the inquiry. So they will definitely have their day in the committee para mapag-usapan po yan.
What about po the Commission on Audit? No? Nakita po natin dun sa report ni Senator Ping Lacson, kasama po siya allegedly, yung COA, doon sa corruption scheme. Ano po nakikita natin na accountability dito ng COA?
Siyempre, with very general kasi binabanggit ni Senator Lacson, pero we'd like to zero in on a particular case nga. Itong ghost project po sa Baliwag, Bulacan, itong binabanggit na ho natin na NEP project na ito. Very certain na ako dun sa liability ng mga DPWH engineers, no? Yung project engineer, district engineer, no questions asked, no? Pero yung sa COA ko, gusto nating malaman kung natapos na ba yung post-audit nila. Kasi kung sabihin nila sa atin in the inquiry na hindi pa nila natapos yung post-audit, di lusot ho sila. Pero for example, kung naglabas ng positive findings po yung COA na walang problema yung proyekto, pero ghost project pala siya, post-audit na, parang masasama ho sila dun pagka ho ganun yung naging sitwasyon.
Okay, so nireiterate nga po ni last na on my part po Congressman, nireiterate ni Kong Benny Abante na hindi daw po pwede ang Kamara ang imbestiga pagdating sa usapin nito dahil yun nga po nakikita natin yung conflict of interest dito. Yeah, especially ngayon po, nagkaroon po ng investigation, lumabas po sa inyong findings na may sinasabi po kayo na maaaring hindi kasabot dito dito sa particular project na to ang Congress. But how do we make sure that this investigation is still, transparent at saka hindi po natin makakitaan na mapagtatakpan po ang Congress pagdating po sa usapin na to?
We will remain committed to the protocol that we want to institute, no? Like what we had stated before in our past interview. If a congressman or senator is named, he will be given the right to reply, but we will immediately recuse and endorse it po to the executive-led probe. And if there's a third-party probe that the president will create, we'll endorse it all to them. But very important to make the point po talaga din na Congress and Senate investigations are in full public view. Ibig sabihin, the public will judge congressmen and senators as to how we will actually conduct the hearing and how we will actually conduct the question. So, kung may payback ho yan pagdating ng election pagkahuli na lang ho namin itong mga bagay ito. Pero, and more importantly, if we throw it into a third-party independent probe or a DepDev probe, this is very far away, I think, from full public view. So, okay na ko magsabay-sabay lahat ng mga yan. And let us be tested in the conduct of the hearings. And kung talagang pagtingin nila, laro lang ho namin yan. Pagkakalang publiko yung amin pong magiging kahinatnan.
Right. Congressman, lastly, we all know naman all of this is in aid of legislation, but I'm sure even before you get into the meat of the hearings, so meron ka ng idea kung what you think may be the weak link in all of this process, the mere fact that this has been going on for the longest time. Sa tingin mo, where do you start right now in terms of legislation? Is there already laws in place that kailangan lang i-strengthen, i-amend, or do you think we have to introduce new laws to strengthen the process?
Well, again, yung babalikan ko, yung pong binabanggit natin na yung pong third-party inspections, no? Private sector inspection. Yung una, talagang very important po yun in the course of the process of project implementation. Pero pangalawa, yung pong nakakasali nga yung mga undercapitalized firms, no?
Yes.
Meron nung silang kusot dyan eh. Ang ginagawa ho nila parang may nagpapautang lang daw po nagbibigay ho ng lines of credit ng mga bangko. Na kahit maliit ka, dahil may pautang sa may credit facility ka, pwede kang sumali. Dapat ipagbawal na yun. Kasi nga, I think yun po yung naging entry point ng mga undercapitalized firms para lumaki at para makasali sa mga bidding po ng infrastructure or kung ano mga government contracts. No?
That's right.
Hindi po pwede yun kasi ibig sabihin, pera na ibang tao yun eh. Kailangan ho, yung po nga competency po ng isang
That's right.
kumpanya, nakabatay sa sarili niyang lakas. Ibig sabihin, kumbaga, sekundaryo na lang ho dapat yung leverage financially na kaya pong ibigay ng bangko. So, ibig sabihin, kung wala ka talagang track record, gumawa ka muna ng track record. Hindi ba? So, I think yun po yung isa sa mga pwede ho talagang next steps, no? Dito po. Kasi ano ho talaga yan eh. The more that we disallow unscrupulous entities from entering government contracts, I think the better for all of us.
That's right. All right. Thank you, House Infrastructure Committee Co-Chair, Congressman Terry Ridon, for joining us again.
Maraming salamat. Magandang umaga.
All right, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The House Committee on Poverty Alleviation tackles measures for enhancement of the government's anti-poverty flagship program or 4Ps. The details in this report by Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos.
Despite the cancellation of work in government offices, the House of Representatives Committee on Poverty Alleviation pushed its deliberation on key measures seeking to enhance and expand the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or 4Ps through the chairmanship of former President and now Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The committee wished to push for the increase of cash grant amounts to its beneficiaries and enhance livelihood support and program implementation. These measures are aimed to combat inflation and ensure that 4Ps remain as an effective human capital development machine in the country. In the meeting, Presidential Advisor for Poverty Alleviation Larry Gadon suggested to expand 4Ps requirement and include students beyond 18 years old and encourage them to pursue agriculture courses, particularly rice farming. He notes that this will help country's food production and that the idea is better than putting the funds in flood control projects.
If we do what I have suggested, we have millions of hectares of uplands. Kung susundin niya na magtayo ng mga rice terraces, we can give this out to students, graduates of agriculture courses. And mangyayari niyan, pati yung flooding problems will be mitigated because kung puro tayo maraming mga rice terraces, sasahurin yan, it will serve as a water catchment on heavy rains.
Present in the meeting are DBM, DepDev, DSWD, and DOF, who are expected to share their position papers regarding the meeting's agenda. On the same day, the House Committee on Justice conducted its organizational meeting for the approval of the committee internal rules of procedure. During the panel hearing on Tuesday, Committee Chairman Jervil Ruistro responded to the written request of Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya, who urged Ruistro's panel to conduct a motu proprio inquiry regarding the United States extradition request for Kingdom of Jesus Christ founder Apollo Kibuloy over sex trafficking and bulk cash smuggling charges. The inquiry aims to address the insufficiencies and ambiguities in the process of extraditing, as the 1994 extradition treaty between the Philippines and the United States, as well as the Philippine extradition law enacted in 1997, are claimed to be silent in this type of issue. Luistro clarified that Kibuloy's involvement in the probe was merely incidental. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
And let's get more updates over at the House of Representatives. We have with us mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, what's the latest?
Yes, good morning, Angela Diego. There's a lot of things in store nga here in the House of Representatives. Pero ngayon ay nagsasagawa na rin ang House Committee on Appropriations ng panibagong budget briefing. Kasama naman ngayon ang Department of Trade and Industry. At kanina nga natalakay ni DTI Secretary Cristina Roque na kinakailangan ang proposed budget nga ng DTI for 2026 ay nasa 9.951 billion pesos. At gusto nga daw kasi nilang i-prioritize dito ang e-commerce, MSMEs, pati na rin ang export sa workforce ng Pilipinas. Pero maliban dyan, syempre natanong din kung ano nga ba yung magiging plano ng ahensya pagdating naman sa transport system ng Pilipinas. At yun nga nasabi din ni DTI Secretary na meron silang CARS program at in the coming months and years ay gusto nilang ma-implementin yung RACE program para daw makapagbigay ng subsidies hindi lamang sa mga big corporations kundi pati na rin sa dito sa mga local manufacturing corporation. Pero naging saad din ni interpolator nga ni Representative Reneco, wala pa daw talaga kasing concrete plan para maipakita kung paano nga ba sinusuportahan itong mga local car companies. So, suggestion niya at mungkahi naman ni Ko na talaga nga na mga magbigay ng programa na maglalaan para mas mapaganda pa ang transport system, pati na rin na hindi mahirapan yung mga commuter dito sa Pilipinas. So, yan yung mga nagiging diskusyon ngayon sa House and titingnan pa natin kung ano pa yung magiging yung mapapag-usapan dito sa budget briefing.
Amy, kamusta pala yung pagtackle ng budget pagdating sa PhilHealth?
Well, yun yung napag-usapan din, no? Isa sa mga natalakay din yan kagabi, pero hindi din masyadong napahapyawan pa dahil mas nakapag-focus nga din kasi yung budget briefing dito sa mga human rights violations ng Commission on Human Rights. And medyo dahil nakita na rin natin kahapon, no, medyo nagtuloy-tuloy at ginabi na rin yung isinagawang budget briefing, talagang hindi gaano nabigyan ng focus yung doon. Pero syempre, titingnan din natin sa mga susunod na araw kung may mga pag-uusapan pa patungkol dito. Most likely, kapag nakasama rin yung Department of Health, ay makikita natin kung may mga suggestion nga umungkahi na ibibigay sa budget ng PhilHealth.
Oo, kasi nagkaroon ng issue dyan, di ba? Dahil dapat daw special law obligates 242.2 billion na iaalat na budget para sa PhilHealth. Pero according to DBM Secretary Amina Pangandaman, ang inalat lamang ay 53.3 billion. So, ano yung mga, kumbaga, naging usapin dyan? So, sige, balikan mo na lang ako pagdating dyan, Amy.
Also, Amy, no, may pinag-uusapan na ba about yung official start ng hearing ng yung online gambling issue, no? Kasi parang medyo nagda-die down na siya.
Well, titingnan pa natin kung ano nga ba yung magiging usapin dyan. Pero most likely, dahil nga meron pa rin tayo na mga Quadcom na tinatawag na form din yung Quadcom 2.0, no?
Yeah.
So, abangan natin, most likely, so September, siguro magsisimula din yan. Pero ngayong araw din kasi, isa sa mga inaabangan dito sa Committee on Human Rights naman, ay yung usapin pa rin ang missing sa bungero. So, napakarami pang issues din na tinatalakay dito sa House of Representatives. Pero yun, sigurado naman na hindi yan magda-die down dito kasi kahit beyond the offices, no, napapag-usapan yan, naririnig din natin dito around the area na may mga topic pa nga rin na pinag-uusapan itong online gambling. And titingnan pa rin din kasi natin kung magiging kung magiging total ban ito or meron lang regulations or restrictions na mangyayari sa online gambling.
Busy talaga ang Kamara ngayong September.
Bataw,
Kailan nga
bataw
ulit
na.
yung investigation man ng Infracom yung para sa flood control projects?
Yan, mangyayari din yan in this coming month. So tuloy-tuloy talaga yung mga mangyayari dito sa Kamara. And yun nga, syempre, dahil nga inaalam pa natin na kapag bigay daw ng invitation nga dun sa top 15 na contractors na pinangalanan, titingnan natin, baka kasi i-accept nila yung invite, and most likely in this coming months din talagang mapag-usapan yung mga issue na yan.
Alright, maraming salamat. That was our mobile journalist, Amy Atienza, reporting live at the House of Representatives.
Dapat lang hindi makalimutan yung Sabongeros.
Oo.
Kasi medyo nagda-die down na sa a lot of
Dahil dito sa
media coverage. But let's not forget about that na sana may resolution din yung mga ito.
Yeah, of course, the relatives of the missing Sabongeros are waiting.
They
for
need
their
closure. They
delivery.
really need closure already. All right, in other news, Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. has been named officer in charge after the sudden relief of PNP Chief General Nicolas Torre III. Here's the report.
Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. formally took over as the officer in charge of the National Police on Tuesday. He was in Western Mindanao, serving as Area Police Commander, when he got the call to return to Manila.
I was discharging and performing my duties in Pagadian as in my capacity as the Area Police Commander for Western Mindanao. So I received a call about mid-afternoon, and then I fly back to Manila.
The reshuffle came after General Nicolas Torre III's short and controversial stint as PNP chief. He was installed in March but faced issues, including sudden transfers of senior officers. Nartates himself had been reassigned to Mindanao under Torre's orders, but he said he took the transfer in stride, especially with the critical task of overseeing security for the Bangsamoro parliamentary elections.
Of course, there is a pressing concern, especially so that number one, of course, is yung ating parliamentary election in Bangsamoro region of Mindanao. So I will be in charge to look at the operations, especially the security aspects in the election. So yun po ang instructor.
Speculations also twirl about an awkward chain of command, with Torre still holding a higher rank than Nartates. But the new OIC says position outweighs rank. Nartates, a member of PMA class of 1992, previously served as police director of Ilocos Norte under then Governor Aimee Marcos. He now faces the challenge of unifying the police force while the president decides on a permanent PNP chief.
Normal po sa organization, lalong-lalo na sa Philippine National Police.
Pero
wala dapat maging masyak dyan. Sa nakikita ko, wala naman turf war. As long as may order, nandiyan na ang order, and you have assumed, everybody will abide to that.
For now, Nartates says he will focus on maintaining stability inside the organization, while Torre awaits a new assignment after his relief from the top post.
Now, senators and congressmen expressed mixed reactions to Malacanang's decision to relieve General Nicolas Torre III as PNP chief. Here's the report.
Malacanang's decision to relieve General Nicolas Torre III as PNP chief has drawn mixed reactions from senators and congressmen. Senator Ping Lacson said Torre may have acted beyond his authority when he unilaterally relieved his second-in-command. He explained that the designation and relief in the PNP command group should be cleared with the President or at the very least with the ex-officio chairman of the National Police Commission and the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government. Senator Aimee Marcos recalled questioning Torre about the decision.
Ang pagkaalam ko, na-demote si Nartates at iba pang general na Ilocano, nagdadaig kung bakit daw nangyari yun. Kaya sinita ko siya, sabi ko, hoy, ba't ganun? Nako, may balik yan, magdahan-dahan ka. Hindi ko naman alam, magiging bilang anghel ako. At nagpapaumanhin ako, wala akong alam.
Senator Bato de la Rosa, a former PNP chief himself, said he sympathizes with Torre.
Galit ako na naawa ako sa kanya. Because I've been there. What if ako ang nandyan, nakaupo, at sinunod ko lahat ng orders ng nagbibigay ng orders sa akin. Lahat-lahat na ginawa ko. Kahit na yung bordering to illegal acts, unconstitutional acts, questionable acts, ginawa ko na lahat-lahat. Pagkatapos, ngayon, tanggalin lang niyo ako. Just goes to show na ulang forever.
Meanwhile, Senate President Chis Escudero and Senate Pro Tempore Jingo Estrada agreed that all executive appointees serve at the pleasure of the President.
Sana hindi maapektuhan dahil, again, serving at the pleasure of the President ang sino mang PNP chief.
If you remember, the first time when he was appointed as Chief PNP, sinabi ko na we have the most arrogant Chief of Police in the police force. Siguro, I really do not know the reason behind his relief. But I think the President knows best.
Several lawmakers in the House of Representatives were also surprised by the President's decision to sack Torre. Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sandanya questioned the logic behind removing Torre. Mamamayang Liberal Party List Leila de Lima also expressed concern over the decision, saying it was unclear why a widely respected and high-performing PNP chief was relieved. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Now let's head over to the Senate for more reactions to the development. Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes is now reporting live on the ground. Merimon, anong balita dyan?
Magandang umaga sa inyo. Tama yung nabanggit nyo kahapon, bukod doon sa naging session ng Commission on Appointments, nagpahiwatig din ng kanilang reaction yung ilang mga senador. Nasabi dito nila Senator Joel Villanueva, SP Chis Escudero, na bagaman nakakagulat daw ito, nakatalaga naman talaga yung kapangyarihan to appoint or to remove from office itong si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Pero si Senator Panfilo Lacson, na dati rin nag-serve as PNP chief, ibinahagi niya nga rin na parang insubordination yung pinagmulan nitong nangyaring pagsisibak kay General Nicolas Torre mula sa kanyang posisyon bilang PNP chief. At sinasabi niya nga dito, yung pagdating daw doon sa appointing, lalo na yung pag-reshuffling, ay dapat daw may coordination sa NAPOLCOM, o kaya naman daw ay nagkakaroon din ng mas malinaw na koordinasyon, lalong-lalo na dito. Pero kung maaalala rin kasi natin, noong ginawa ni General Torre yung reassignment, nagkaroon ng resolution ng NAPOLCOM na sinasabing ibalik itong si General Lieutenant Nartate sa kanyang posisyon bilang Deputy Chief, plus yung 12 pa na official sa pulisya na magkaroon ulit ng pagbabago doon sa reassignment nila. Pero mukhang hindi ito sinunod ni General Nicolas Torre, kaya sa ngayon ang latest update naman patungkol sa kanila, nagliligpit na ang kanyang pamilya doon ng kanilang gamit sa White House sa Camp Crame. At ang nasabi nga so far, parang nabigyan daw sila nitong paninibak yung resolution na ma-put out of office itong si General Torre ng isang araw daw para makapaghanda. Pero so far dito sa Senado ngayon, ongoing na rin yung ilang pagdinig, organizational meetings ng Senate committees. Kasama na rito yung Committee on National Security and Peace, kung saan nais nilang matalakay yung luma 78-year-old ng anti-espionage law, kung saan yung ilang mga bills dito na layo nilang ma-update ito, lalong-lalo na maraming cases nitong taon o ng mga lumipas na taon ng tila mga espiya. At ni-raise na nga kanina sa opening remarks ni Senadora Risa Hontiveros yung kaso naman ni Joseph C. na tila nakasali daw sa Philippine Coast Guards.
Merimon, ito I would like to ask if you know any information on this. Bakit ba nagkaroon ng reshuffling? Bakit ba ni-reshuffle ni General Torre itong second in command niya, no? Tama ba tawagin natin siya ganyan, itong Deputy Chief na ngayon ay OIC Chief, OIC PNP Chief General Nartates?
Angela, so far wala pang ibang pagpapaliwanag tungkol dito. Even ang nasabi rin na ni DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla is nagkaroon daw ng pagpepresenta ng ilang mga impormasyon sa Pangulo nitong mga lumipas na linggo na posibleng may kinalaman na patungkol nga dito sa reshuffling. Pero ang nasabi ni Senadora Amy Marcos kahapon sa naging pahayag natin o panayam natin sa kanya, parang may narinig daw siyang kuro-kuro na tila parang may pamumulitiko raw na nangyari. Kaya nga noong lumipas na buwan, nagkaroon na siya ng pagbabala. Binalaan niya raw si General Torre na posibleng baka magkaroon ng karma itong kanyang isinagawang reassignment. Pero since ito ang nangyari ngayon, hindi nga sinunod ni General Torre yung resolution ng NAPOLCOM, mukhang nauwi dito sa kanyang paninibak. At sinabi naman ng Pangulo, through DILG Secretary Remulla, na pinanatili pa rin dito yung pagiging alinsunod sa NAPOLCOM pagdating sa subordination. Lalo na alinsunod dito sa batas.
Can you elaborate on that? Yung sa sinabi ni Senator Amy Marcos na sinabihan niya si General Torre, paano niya sinabihan? Tapos yung naghinanaing sa kanya si General Nartates, tama ba? Paano din?
Nung isang buwan dito mismo sa press briefing room sa Senado, nung natanong natin sa Senadora Amy tungkol nga dito sa supposed reassignment ni General Torre, nagsabi niya agad na parang medyo nagulat nga raw siya, tapos parang nagkaroon nga ng komunikasyon at ibinahagi niya nga na parang hindi yun yung right move na gawin ni General Torre, lalong-lalo na Deputy Chief itong kanyang i-reassign as area commander for Western Mindanao. Pero pagdating doon sa iba pang details in between kung paano nga ba sila nagkausap patungkol dito, ay hindi na sa atin ibinahagi ni Senadora Amy. Nung natanong din natin saan ba nanggaling yung narinig niyang parang pamumulitika raw sa loob siguro ng pulisya, sabi niya hindi niya na rin daw yun masyadong mapapaliwanag, basta raw yun daw yung narinig niya sa loob o kaya sa paligid niya raw.
Alright, may tanong ka pa ba?
No, go ahead.
Alright. Maraming salamat sa iyo, ating mobile journalist, Mary Mon Reyes.
Don't
Ano,
go-
ka,
Ha?
ano kasi dyan ang usapin dyan, paano diba? Kasi ngayon, OIC lang muna si General Nartates kasi hindi siya pwedeng mag 4-star general dahil until now 4-star general.
That's why-
hindi
that's
ba siya
why-
hindi ba pwede tanong hindi ko kasi masyado kabisado yun. Kapag ba ikaw hindi na PNP chief, hindi na pwedeng tanggalan yung star mo. Yun na yung forever na yun unless mag-retire ka. Tama ba?
Pwede ka i-demote. There's such a thing as demotion na ang magde-decide ng SNAPOLCOM. May mga conduct, may mga precursors yung kung paano ako madi-demote. Pwedeng meron kang administrative case, yung conduct unbecoming of a officer. Pero ang medyo magulo kasi dito, pinag-usapan natin to, 'di ba? 3-star ata si
Si Nartates.
At least 3-star, and if he becomes a PNP chief na hindi na OIC, tapos si General Torre is 4-star, kumbaga ang 4-star general amo niya ang isang 3-star. And ang binanggit mo sa akin, ang retirement age ng dalawa is almost the same.
Hindi pala parang March 19 if I'm not mistaken, or March 11, 2026 basta March 2026 si General Torre, pero siya March 2027
Si Nata, ayun. So, pero may 1 year pa si General Torre as a 4-star. And he won't give that up because yung benefits na nakakompute according to the 4-star, mawawala if he unless
early retirement siya, tapos ilagay siya sa ibang.
Unless NAPOLCOM mismo mag-grant ng early retirement kasi minamataan na siya as a different position. And if he takes on a different position, let's say, ang pinupusuan sa kanya, narinig ko is may NBI, di ba? If he does take on a different position, he has to give up his rank in the PNP, di ba? So, let's see kung anong concessions.
Would he like that? Di ba ang tanong doon?
Hindi, syempre he wants to remain active. Somebody like General Torre na
Pero
mukhang...
kasi pag mga pulis, importante sa kanila yung mga rango at bago yung nila hanggang mag-retire.
unless they say, early retirement ka, bigay namin sa iyo yung benefits. Pwede naman yan i-entitle. NAPOLCOM will decide on that. Actually, it's all up to them.
We'll see.
Fresh news pa naman yan. So, magpo-progress yan, di ba? Alright, don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. 5 journalists working for major international outlets were killed in an Israeli double strike on Gaza's Nasser hospital. Those killed were identified as Reuters cameraman Hussam al-Masri, AP freelance journalist Mariam Daga, Al Jazeera's Mohammed Salama, Ahmed Abu Aziz, and Moaz Abu Taha. The Committee to Protect Journalists said the deaths bring the number of journalists killed in Gaza since October 2023 to nearly 200, calling it the deadliest conflict for journalists ever documented. The incident has drawn global condemnation, with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urging a prompt and impartial investigation. A Filipino inventor from Batangas has created the country's first locally made aviation sealant from pili resin. He is now turning his innovation into a classroom essential. Mobile Journal Denise Valdesancho has the details.
A Filipino inventor from Batangas is expanding his breakthrough pili seal into a new product that many students and offices use every day. Mark Kennedy Bantugon, known for creating the country's first locally made aviation sealant from Pili 3 resin, is now introducing Pili-based glue.
Na-realize ko po nung nag-ano po, kung nag-formulate po ako ng adhesives, kaya dumidikit din pala siya. Parang tinry ko lang po sa papel. Kasi parang, kumbaga po, curious lang po ako, paano siya dumidikit pag papel.
Different from your typical glues, this Pili-based glue carries a natural fragrant smell.
Kasi ang pili po ay very popular sa essential oils po. So sobrang bango po niya. So yun po, mabango po yung glue namin. As in,
The product will be launched this September with pricing set to be competitive with standard glues in the market. Variants such as glue stick and even colored glues are also being developed. Just last August 19, the Department of Science and Technology honored Bantugon for his Pili Seal innovation, which has gained global recognition for its fragrant, eco-friendly alternative to aviation sealants. Now, its new counterpart is ready to enter classrooms and homes.
We are trying to maximize all the opportunities given by the DTI Secretary po. So, yes po, why not?
Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
Now in sports, the PLDT high-speed hitters are still on cloud9 after capturing their first PVL championship in the PVL On Tour. The team celebrated the historic victory with a visit to the PLDT office, where they were warmly welcomed by employees of the Telco giant. Finals MVP Mika Reyes said their triumph came from perseverance and lessons from the past tournaments. Coach Raul Ricafort and PLDT executives credited teamwork, grit, and strong fan support for the team's success.
Kahit hindi naman sa tournament na to, from the previous tournaments as well, lagi kaming almost. So I think isa rin to sa naging motivation namin na hindi sumuko and talagang magtiyaga.
This is a really proud moment for all of us again. Not just for the high-speed hitters, not just for PVL, not even for PLDT, but for the entire nation. You've basically displayed, what it takes to win. All the grit, the determination, the teamwork. Just keep having fun, and I know that you will be champions again.
Yeah, so third week since the sauna ba? Shit, tama?
Yeah,
Third week ba?
July, why?
July? Hindi, kinakount ko lang na yung promise ng investigation sa flood control na wala pa rin clear picture of what's happening. Kasi both...
We've seen pointing fingers.
No, kasi some are pointing to Congress. Congress is pointing to some parts of the project sa Malacanang. Malacanang is saying mga ibang contractors sa may kasalanan. You have Congressman Levice pointing at the contractor, at the DPWH district engineer. District engineer has not yet pointed to anyone, which we want to see. But meron
Kung mainip, malapit na.
Hindi, pero may lumilitaw yung mga favorite, mga Diskaya, di ba? Mga lumilitaw, kakalamihan sa
si
mga
Congressman
hearing.
Terry Redon has a point there when he said earlier doon sa interview natin na yung pagdating sa pagkuha ng mga contractors sa each project, no, sa each flood control project. Kasi may certain requirement, di ba? Na dapat may certain investment ng isang kumpanya. Pero bakit nakakalusot itong mga companies na walang yung capitalization nila does not meet the requirement?
Hindi, parang ang sinasabi kasi niya is competence dapat ang major basis ng isang kumpanya. Competence coupled with yung stand-alone requirement, hindi yung just because last minute may line of credit ka, ikaw kukunin.
Yes.
For example, di ba, kukuha ka ng gusto mo developer ka, gusto mo mag-develop ng condo. Sino kukunin mo? Yung bagong kumpanya na may pera o yung matagal nang gumagawa ng kondo na matitibay? Di ba siyempre kukunin mo yung may record na ang gumagawa? Ayun yung sinasabi niya kasi ang dami daw contractor na magagaling na hindi nakukuha. Because may mga last-minute companies na bago na lumilitaw na may capitalization na nakakalusot. Di ba? So sinasabi niya, competence has to be a key factor here.
Right.
All right, before we let you go, we'd like to leave everyone with a quote. Character is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.